Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Judges, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, on this occasion, I, Ilmyra Avisa Firly from SMPN Ngraho, Bojonegoro, will present a speech entitled Practicing Pancasila Students Profile to Meet 5.0 Era. Ladies and gentlemen, Pancasila is a view of life, ideology, and the basis of the unitary state of the Republic of Indonesia, which is listed in paragraph 4 of the preamble to the 1945 Constitution. Well, students, according to KBBI, are children who go to school. As Indonesian students, we have to be able to apply the value of Pancasila in everyday life. We have a new term called Pancasila Students Profile. Pancasila Students Profile are the characters and abilities that are poured into everyday life and brought to life in each individual students through school culture. Intracurricular learning project to strengthen the profile of Pancasila student, as well as extracurricular. Pancasila students are the embodiment of Indonesian students as lifelong students who have global competence and behave in accordance with the value of Pancasila in everyday life. The character values that exist in each of the precepts of Pancasila start from the existence of religious values, social care, independence, patriotism, or being willing to sacrifice for the nation and state. Togetherness and democracy and justice. The realization of the Pancasila Students Profile is the ultimate goal of various educational quality improvement programs currently being implemented by the Ministry of Education and Culture. There are 6 profiles of Pancasila students, namely 1. Believing and fearing God Almighty. Indonesian students who have noble character are students who have character in their relationship with God Almighty. He understands religious teachings and belief and applies this understanding in daily life. The example that we can do in everyday life is respecting and getting along with each other even though we have different religions. 2. Global diversity. Indonesian students maintain a noble culture, locality, and identity, and keep an open mind in interacting with other culture, thereby fostering mutual respect and the possibility of forming a new culture that is positive and does not conflict with the noble culture of the nation. The example that we can do in everyday life is maintaining Indonesian culture and avoiding fights or problems with different countries. 3. Working together. Indonesian students have the ability to cooperate. The example that we can do in everyday life is joining social service actively and being not lazy in school or in our neighborhood. Also helping our neighbors in need. 4. Creative. Creative students can modify and produce something original, meaningful, useful, and impactful. The example that we can do in everyday life is reducing, reusing, and recycling our unnecessary things with our creativity. 5. Critical thinking. Students who think critical thinking can process information, connect various information, analyze information, evaluate, and conclude. The example that we can do in everyday life is we decide things before we act and solve problems in school or private life. 6. Independent. Indonesian students are independent students, namely students who are responsible and for the process and learning outcomes. The example that we can do in everyday life is always thinking one step ahead. The essence of the character of the Pancasila Students Profile is that students know, understand, appreciate, and practice in everyday life. Socializing the value of Pancasila is is so necessary so that the younger generation, who will be the next national generation, do not forget and keep their Indonesian identity. I am Ilmyra Avisa Firly. Thank you for your greatest attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.